Hello, my name is George Meikle, and this video provides an overview of the gtm.markov max package, which is built around two external objects for generating second-order Markov chains, gtm.markov and gtm.markov tilde. The two external objects, one of which is event-based and the other signal-based, have been developed using RNBO and Codebox, and not only does the package include examples as to how the two external objects can be implemented, it also contains RNBO-based versions of the external objects and extensive video tutorials detailing how these were made. Second-order Markov chains, which determine the result of the current calculation based on the two preceding calculation results, have many uses within the context of algorithmic and generative music. If we launch the package from the package manager, more information as to how Markov chains work can be found by clicking on the Learn More button. But we can also see an example of how second-order Markov chains sound when applied to melodic generation in the MIDI tab of the help file for gtm.markov. If I click on the button at the top to compile a transition matrix, we can first hear the melody contained within the MIDI file loaded into the seek object, before gtm.markov begins to automatically generate pitch and velocity values derived from the transition matrix that is compiled from the information contained within this MIDI file. If we go back over to the basic tab of the help file, we can see an overview of the functionality of the object in order to understand what's happening. The object first receives a list of integers up to 128 elements in length at its left inlet. This information is used to compile a transition matrix. In second-order Markov chains, the transition matrix contains all sequential value pairs in the input list, along with all individual values that are preceded by those value pairs in the list. Once the transition matrix is compiled, a bang is released from the rightmost outlet. We can then begin generating values by sending a bang into the middle inlet. Because second-order Markov chains calculate the current value based on the preceding two values, it's possible for generation to become stuck on a single value if that value has only ever been preceded in the input list by a sequential value pair containing only the same value, which is another way of saying three of the same value in a row in the input list. For this reason, a bang can be sent to the rightmost inlet of the object in order to reset value generation without clearing the transition matrix. Alternatively, sending a new list into the leftmost inlet replaces the transition matrix with a new one. Looking at the help file for gtm.markov tilde, we can see that the functionality is basically the same, despite the fact that value generation is triggered by phase reset of an incoming phaser tilde ramp signal. This input signal is also outputted from the leftmost outlet of gtm.markov tilde, subject to a single sample vector delay to synchronize it with generated values from the adjacent outlet. Returning to the home patcher, we can see that the RNBO patches from which the two external objects are compiled can be explored by double-clicking on them. The video tutorials that document the process of how the two externals were developed using RNBO and Codebox can be accessed via the button at the top right-hand corner of the home patcher. There are 4 example patches included in the package. The sampler example demonstrates how gtm.markov can be used in conjunction with playlist tilde and sviz tilde to play back samples. At the left-hand side, drum patterns can either be programmed using the matrix control sequencer or randomly generated. Once we have a pattern that we're happy with, we can compile a transition matrix using this button here. If we then start the global transport, we can switch between having samples in playlist tilde triggered by the sequence from matrix control or by gtm.markov. Currently, samples are being triggered by the matrix control sequence. If we switch this toggle, we're now triggering samples from gtm.markov. On the right hand side of the patch, second order Markov chains are used to generate bass, pad and melody parts in a key and scale determined using the drop down menus at the top. For now, I'm going to stick with E Dorian, and I can compile a transition matrix for each of those distinct parts using this button up here. The samples used for these parts are played back via sphys tilde. The signal example demonstrates how gtm.markov tilde can be used to generate pitch values for synthesized parts using MSP objects. Again, a global key and scale can be chosen using the drop-down menus at the top, while a simple visualization of the Markovian generation for each part can be seen in the background, which makes use of the multi-slider object. The other two examples demonstrate how the gtm.markov and gtm.markov tilde objects can be integrated with beat modules and with third-party software instruments using the VST tilde object. Hopefully, this video has served as inspiration as to how these two external objects can be integrated into your own creative workflow, and as Cycling74 themselves would say, happy patching.